Triple H is holding WWE back, okay? It's as simple as that. Now, obviously, this has to deal with, WWE and TKO, you know what I'm saying? The company owning them, right? And the UFC and all that stuff. They're more corporatized now, right? So WWE, whereas they used to be focused and I felt like, quality and character building and gimmicks, you know what I'm saying? And entrance themes and engaging in, blood feuds, right? Between great faces and great heels, which there's basically none of anymore, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, right? They operate now off of money and ads rather than quality now, so that's why they're okay with like part-time schedules, you know what I'm saying? Their champions not wrestling, not even showing up half the time like Gunther, you know what I'm saying? They're okay with Travis Scott going out there, one of their biggest segments ever, right, with Cena turning heel, and Travis Scott's going out there and busting Cody's face in his eardrum, Nobody cares about that, right? Like Triple H knows that Travis Scott is going out there, he doesn't know what he's doing, it doesn't matter. The low ratings keep, the ratings keep dropping over and over and over again. You get repetitive shows with the same matches. You get what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? They get $5 billion from Netflix, and they're getting $50 million per PLE from Saudi Arabia, so they don't care, and bots are still filling out most of these arenas, you know what I'm saying, and for these bad shows that they're doing on Raw and on SmackDown, just for these crowds to be dead, but the crowd's still at least like 80 to 90% capacity, you know what I'm saying, most nights, for mid-shows, so it is what it is. But the fact is that they're not focused on the quality of it, right? And the sad thing is that Triple H has proved that he can at least do a solid job as the booker. Now, last year during Mania 40 season, right, and in the latter parts of 2023, when Punk came back, Rock came back, Roman was semi-full-time leading up to Mania, you get what I'm saying? Like, they proved, even though obviously you have The Rock benefiting, right, and bringing everything back, because like I always say, a rising tide lifts all boats. So when you have guys like Roman and Rock there semi-consistently, obviously everything is going to be more interesting and more heightened. You get what I'm saying? That's just the impact of what great wrestlers and great performers do. You know what I'm saying? Mania 40 felt like Avengers Endgame, right? For WWE. Like, it was insane. The hype was great. You know what I'm saying? They even got me to buy tickets. I went to WrestleMania 40. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was an incredible night. Amazing PLE from top to bottom outside of like one or two matches. You get what I'm saying? And then after that, you had inventive editing. You know what I'm saying? New stories. During that season, right, they were putting talent into the best positions possible. So Rhea Ripley's not elite on the mic or a great storyteller, so they put her with Becky and they had a solid program for Mania 40. Cody Rhodes is not great unless you give him an elite level heel to go against, so now Cody Rhodes had an elite level heel and ended up being somewhat decent, you know what I'm saying, in the run. I thought it was pretty solid in that run, right? You had like 6 to 7 matches per night at Mania. They need to go back to that format, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand how you see the model for success, right? And outside of Rock and Roman, you still have, outside of Rock, everyone else is still there to be used for this year's Mania as well. It's the same people plus CM Punk. So how is it possible that this Mania 41 season can be so much worse than Mania 40? You know what I'm saying? You have John Cena involved, so that basically is like 80% of what The Rock would be. So what's the difference? It's not like it's impossible to build this Mania 41 to make it as equally great or as last year's or even better. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And that alone proves the booking has clearly already declined, you know what I'm saying, along with the quality. The fact that you have the same roster of competitors as last year, right, just replacing The Rock with John Cena instead, everyone else is the same. That plus, say, CM Punk, of course, is now there healthy. How is it possible that you're in a situation where this Mania is this much worse than Mania 40 in terms of the build and in terms of the eventual quality of the PLE? We know Mania 40 will be better, most likely, so it just doesn't make any sense. And the sad thing is, as well, the mid-card talent is good. You have different guys that were going out there and that were shining last year, and women, of course, as well. Chad Gable had a great arc last year. He had a great run, People wanted to win IC belt. I wanted him to do it, too. Bronson Reed came along. He was great. Jacob Fatu came out to be pretty solid. Tiffany Stratton was developing, Io Sky was in more matches and being featured more. She was doing an amazing job last year. She was arguably the workhorse of the women's division, along with Bianca, Jade, etc. LA Knight, awesome. He finally got a U.S. championship belt, which means nothing, but he elevated the belt, and throughout all last year, he was doing great with the content and the storylines he was given. Carmelo Hayes came along. He was great. Drew McIntyre, arguably the MVP of 2024. The main event scene, you're going to have your top stars. Some of them are part-time, like the biggest ones, like Cena, Roman, Rock, etc. But the fact is that how can you do things with the other people you have? And Triple H just simply reduces the opportunities for talents. This is why we get Michin versus Chelsea Green over and over again. Tag team matches, the same teams fighting each other over and over and over again, The title belt reigns now are a big reason why it feels like none of these talent can get featured or can reach a certain peak. Because when you know that when Cody Rhodes wins the belt at Mania, that he's going to hold the belt hostage for at least 400 days, there's like no hope. There's zero hope for anyone else to get a shot, and actually you believe that they're going to win, and it puts you in a position where every feud that Cody Rhodes is involved in, you know the outcome, right? You know he's not going to elevate it or do anything special on the mic because he's not good. You know what I'm saying? He's not good on the mic. Cody Rhodes is a manufacturer star. I've been saying this for weeks at this point. He's not someone who organically, cut amazing promos and wrestled amazing matches over and over and over and over and over again consistently for 2 years before he won the belt. What happened is that he had a feud with Roman for Mania 39, and from that moment, like in April of 2023 to the end of to the end of 2023, he did nothing. Nothing of meaning. Can anyone tell me what he did in that span? Okay, then. There you go. Let's be honest with ourselves. You get what I'm saying? And so when you have someone who lacks lacks the star power, lacks the storytelling ability, and lacks the ability to be consistently great, and Triple H isn't booking them in situations and putting Cody in situations where he's going against monster heels or even just great heels, because that's what Cody needs. Cody needs at least someone who is like an A tier or a B plus level heel minimum in order to make him look like at least a B level babyface. It's as simple as that. Some baby faces can look like A-tier baby faces regardless. Like John Cena in his prime, for example, right? John Cena is going to look like an A-tier baby face no matter what, pretty much, because he's going to cut elite promos. He's going to elevate the stories. He's going to be consistently in the ring, so he's building his stock as, that true workhorse Cena schedule, all-time great. Right, but Cody Rhodes isn't wrestling, and he's not cutting good promos. So you need someone else to come in and help elevate this dude and make him look better. That's the point of having a great face and a great heel. That's basically the basis of wrestling right then and there. So if you can't do the basics, if you can't succeed with the little things, how are you gonna succeed with the big things? Which is why Mania 41 looks horrible right now. You know what I'm saying? So there you have that. And then Gunther as well, when he's holding the belt hostage, ain't nobody taking that belt. You know what I'm saying? Until a Big 4 PLE. So it's like, well, what's the point? You have the two main championships are being held hostage while their stock value is basically dropping over and over and over again, over the months, and no one's doing anything about it. Triple H is just looking at it and just not letting him do anything. Gunther is being booked into oblivion. As much as I make fun of Gunther, sometimes, and talk about how he hasn't been great, with what he's been given, which is true. The simple idea is that Triple H also hasn't been good with the stuff he's giving him. Gunther can't do anything if he's booked to not be on the show for 7 weeks and booked to wrestle once every 2 months as the world heavyweight champion, the quote-unquote workhorse, the ring general, the mat is sacred, but he hasn't been in the ring in like more than 5 times in the last 4 months. So it's just not believable. Triple H books everyone into a corner, and therefore it's impossible for this talent to get opportunities. When you have a PLE that happens once every 4 weeks, or once every 5 weeks, whatever it may be, even once every 3 weeks like it happens for a few months after Mania, it feels like, right? The simple idea is that you need to have more than 4 or 5 matches on the PLE. You can't showcase talent with 4 matches. What are you going to do with that, right? 4 singles matches that are all predictable that no one cares about. You're wasting our time. You're giving us 5 predictable matches at the expense of potentially giving us some unpredictable matches with some cooler and more unique stars, some more storylines involved, and some more intrigue, some more unpredictability. You're sacrificing unpredictability and possible growth for stars for random repetitive matches like Cody versus KO Part 8 or Cody versus AJ Styles Part 5 where we already know what's going to happen. This is just a waste of time. Look at what happened when you started giving Brunson Reed an opportunity on PLEs. Memorable moments, solid matches. He had a good match with Seth at Crown Jewel and then did a good job in the War Games match at Survivor Series. LA Knight, an amazing match with Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Heck, even freaking Nia Jackson Bayley put on a good match at SummerSlam. Give your talent opportunities to be great, and they will be great. It's the same situation with Rhea Ripley. I can't stop thinking. Or no, sorry, that wasn't the right. I'm getting my own brain rot confused. It's like, I can't stop thinking about Punk. You know what I'm saying? I guess I can't stop thinking about Punk now. But Rhea Ripley comes out, right? I got to take back my title that I never lost, yeah. And she comes out, and for some odd reason, she's wrestled 4 or 5 Raw matches in the last 450 days? Are you kidding me? How is Rhea Ripley supposed to improve her stock if she doesn't do anything? You have her come out and blame herself in a video segment for her loss to Io Sky last week on Raw, but then the following week she comes out previously on this episode of Raw for this week, and she comes out and she's like, Bianca, this is your fault. How could you do this? How could you do this? What? Huh? Is it your fault, Rhea, or is it Bianca's fault, or is it Io's fault? Make up your mind. The makeshift storylines in order to add in fake intrigue and fake beef between these stars is crazy to me. Roman Reigns has to come back and randomly spear CM Punk, the same dude he was shaking hands with a few months ago, the last time he saw him. Now he's spearing him? Right? Paul Heyman has a mystery favor that makes no sense. You know, Rhea Ripley can declare herself and basically re-enter herself back in a championship match and championship feud for Mania. John Cena's calling his shot for the chamber without even qualifying. Like what, Jey Uso's winning Royal Rumbles, but Roman Reigns can't get a rematch when he was the champion for 4 years? He can't get a rematch clause for Cody? You're like, are you kidding me? The inconsistencies is another problem. The plot holes, right? None of these stars can develop themselves if everything they do is contradictory. Because here's the thing. Everything that is being watched, right, by a certain amount of fans, like this is just how I view media, like movies, shows, you know, WWE, anything in general. I watch it with a sense of realism in everything, even if it's fictional or even if it's like, you know, altered or scripted, right? Like shows are obviously fake, movies are fake, etc., right? I'm still watching it with a sense of realism. So things have to make sense to an extent. You get what I'm saying? You can't have a situation where the last time I saw, for example, right, I'm going out to the grocery store, okay? I meet Cody Rhodes in the middle of a grocery store, okay? You know what I'm saying? And I shake his hand, right? If the last time I saw him, I shook his hand, and I see him again a month later in the grocery store, I'm not going to spear him into a shopping cart and shove his face into the freezer. You get what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's what Roman Reigns just did. CM Punk helped him in a time where he needed some help from someone, right? And because of that, he shook his hand and made amends with him for a second. Now you fast forward 2 months, and all of a sudden, Roman Reigns is spearing this dude and throwing him into the cage. What? Just for the benefit of a face versus face match for nothing. Rhea Ripley, right? Let's again, another example. Let's say that I did bad on a test. I blame myself that I did bad on the test, and then the following week, I blame the teacher. What is this inconsistencies? When everything is contradictory, it makes your wrestlers look like bad storytellers, but in reality, it's Triple H's fault. This isn't any fault of Roman or Punk or any of these dudes, it's Triple H's fault, right? Even Rhea Ripley, you know, as much as I bash her promo sometime, I'm sure that she's probably picking some of her promo material and some of her storyline elements, but Triple H is the head of this stuff, right? He's the one doing this stuff. So I don't understand how he's able to come to these conclusions of these awful situations with these wrestlers. It makes them look like bad storytellers, and he's holding WWE back from that perspective, and he's holding back the talent, okay? Now we have to talk about the missed opportunities. This is very self-explanatory. I even talked about this yesterday with Roman Reigns. You know, the OTC arc has been a disaster. He should have came back. He should have beat the crap out of Solo Sikoa, and by bad blood, they should have had a tribal combat match for the Ula Fala. He should have taken it back, even though he should have never lost it in the first place, you know. He should have taken that Ula Fala back at bad blood, and then maybe have a meaningless match versus Jacob Fatu at Crown Jewel. Have a segment out there in the ring where he officially forgives or apologizes to the Usos for everything he did with the manipulation, you know what I'm saying, the hatred, the abuse, everything like that in storyline over the last couple years when he was champion. You get what I'm saying? That's what should have happened. That marks an actual turn of Roman Reigns, at least in a sense of his character has shifted a bit. There's a difference. He's not a full-blown babyface. He's not a full-blown heel, but he's kind of a tweener or an anti-hero, right? I'd much rather have that, and then Roman goes on after, you know, fighting his demons, and then goes and wins a world title or something. That way you have Roman versus Rollins, or Roman versus Punk, or Roman versus Rollins versus Punk, for Paul Heyman's in there as well, you know what I'm saying? The world title's on the line. That's how you build engaging stuff, rather than just having Gunther hold the belt hostage and not letting anyone else get a shot or an important, meaningful, opportunity with it for months. You cannot grow if you're not in a situation to grow. The plant can't grow if you don't water it. Yeah, like it's as simple as that. So you have that missed opportunity with Roman. Randy Orton was written off for 4 months. He could have easily been a heel, you know what I'm saying, and turned to fight Cody or taken the belt from Cody and could have fought Cena, you know what I'm saying? Could have been heel Cena versus face Orton, or heel Orton versus face Cena. You know, that could have been interesting. Or at least a heel Orton could have feuded with one of the other top baby faces to make them look better. You know what I'm saying? It would have been a situation like that, but they didn't do that. Seth Rollins, monotonous feuds, monotonous segments, and a bunch of boring garbage. You know what I'm saying? Just coming out there and doing the same stuff, complaining about Punk just to lose to him and get pinned by him multiple times. Logan Paul, even, he has great talents on the mic. He's had some pretty mediocre / bad promos over the last couple weeks, not gonna lie. But, you know, obviously in totality, Logan Paul has done a solid job over his tenure in WWE. He's greater, in my opinion, than at least 95% of the main roster, and it's not even remotely close, you know, so he has super talents, but he's not being pushed for some reason. Carmelo Hayes, he has great talents. He isn't being pushed. You know, somehow Braun Breaker's won the IC belt twice. Tiffany's the WWE Women's Champion. But Carmelo Hayes, the biggest achievement he's done is pin Andrade. Are you kidding me? Where is the sense in that? You know, how does that work? You show talent and you get nothing for it. That's how this works now. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, they're on NXT putting on bangers with Fraxium. You get what I'm saying? But when are they going to come to the main roster? That's another missed opportunity. Book them, give them an opportunity to come up to the main roster, get massive reactions, and be in cool storylines in one of their final years, in professional wrestling. You get what I mean? Cody Rhodes, Dr. Libations himself. Now, Cody Rhodes, right, obviously has a lineage of being garbage on the mic and mediocre when it comes to storytelling, and then obviously he hasn't been wrestling. But if Triple H booked him to wrestle more, in actual matches on TV rather than dark matches in Wichita, Kansas, or some no-name town, maybe Cody Rhodes' stock as champion would be higher right now. You never know. Same thing with Rhea Ripley. I already explained that. And even with some NXT talent, they have Sol Ruca fighting Chelsea Green for the Women's U.S. Championship next week on NXT. Put it on the main roster. Sol Ruca has one of the coolest and best finishers in WWE. She's athletic. She's younger side of the roster by a landslide, right? She's one of the better women's wrestlers in NXT. How is it possible that we get into a situation where Sol Ruca, Jada Parker, right? Other people like Oba Femi hasn't even sniffed the main roster, just a quick little match, anything? It just doesn't work. Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, etc. How have these people never even gotten one singles match on the main roster? But Roxanne Perez has gotten a match, She's getting matches. It's like, what? It's so artificial. And then you get the repetitive shows where there's too much time. So you have to cut this stuff out. Move SmackDown back to 2 hours and then keep Raw around like 2.5 hours on Netflix. Cut the filler. Trim the fat off these shows and it'll probably become a much more enjoyable experience. Cut the time of the jobbers with the repetitive stuff with Motor City Machine Guns and Garza and all these people. If you look back at SmackDown over the last couple months, for like 3 or 4 months, I guess you could say, if you cut the time of Motor City Machine Guns, Garza, Michin versus Chelsea Green, and the absolute filler garbage we get with DIY and some of the stuff with the pretty deadly, Cody's monotonous promos, Tiffany Stratton doing nothing. You get what I'm saying? Damian Priest as well. If you cut all that stuff out of SmackDown and actually replace it with more LA Knight stuff, more Cody Rhodes wrestling, or him cutting actual promos that mean something, right? More Kevin Owens being there in the building rather than being in a car, more heel Orton or face Orton being on the show, and then more appearances here and there from Roman Reigns, you would probably have a much better SmackDown. At 2 hours. Even if it was 2.5, you'd have a better show. So there's just multiple ways to get around these problems. And Raw has their problems too, but their problems switch week to week. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends with them, But the point is, you have to start, Triple H as a booker has to start taking responsibility and blame for this. Most of the stuff that happens with these talents, the reason why they can't realize their full potential, why they don't get much mic time, why you wonder why certain talents don't get a lot of time in the ring, why they're not being pushed more than other people who don't deserve it, is because Triple H has a mediocre/bad eye for talent in many scenarios, and he does not put his talent in positions to succeed. He's seen what he needs to do to make people like Tiffany Stratton succeed. He's seen what he needs to do to make people like Jey Uso succeed. Gunther look successful, Cody Rhodes, etc. Rhea Ripley even. Put them in positions where if they need to go against a great heel, put them against a great heel. If they're not great on the mic, don't have them cut a lot of promos. Just have them go out there and talk with their in-ring abilities. Speak with your actions. Actions are always going to speak louder than words. So have them go out there and have maybe a beatdown or a brawl segment. Have them go out there and wrestle consistent matches and things of that nature. That's how you build the quote-unquote legend of characters. You get what I mean? It's a very simple calculus that Triple H has been struggling to figure out now for months, pretty much since Mania 40 ended, and it's been very embarrassing, and it's ruining and holding back WWE as a whole, and it's holding back WWE's talent as well on the roster. So let me know what you think about Triple H potentially holding the talent and WWE back as a whole. And I think he needs to let the talent off the leash and let himself off the leash and actually start booking like we know he's at least capable of doing decently. You get what I'm saying? And so hopefully he can attempt to recreate the magic that they had about a year ago, but it's probably too late at this point. Let's be honest with ourselves. But maybe he could do something down the line. With that being said, I thank you guys for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.